This is the New American Media.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be insanely precise. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Agree to Disagree. I'm your host, Brian Engelman. Special thanks to NBA scout Zach Barris for joining us on the previous program, covering the NBA trade deadline and the Cavs' winning streak of 6 games and all that jazz. Make sure you follow him at ZBarris, and make sure you check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Thank you to all of our listeners that have pushed us past 200,000 video views on our youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia account. Thank you ever so much. But now we want more. Now we're aiming for that 250. Now we want 250,000. So tell your friends, subscribe to the channel, embed the content, share it on your Twitter feed and your Facebook page. Please. We appreciate that. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. And we want you to follow us, is what's going on. We also want you to search The New American Media with spaces in between and like our Facebook page. So all of that jazz adds up to a really good time to stop and pause and say thank you to all the listeners. So thank you very much. Coming up on 3 years here. It's insane to think about. It's been almost 3 years since we launched The New American Media. I think our unofficial birthday is May 1st. So, we're about 2 months and a week away, give or shake, which is pretty cool. Anyway, there is so much weirdness going on in the world. This has just been a crazy news week. There are so many things that we need to talk about. I want to go fast, and I want to tell you all the reasons why stuff is way more urgent than maybe you realize. Things are way more important, intense, and on the precipice of collapse and disaster. Collapster? Is that a word? My brother sent me something that said apocalyptimist. It was saying something that you're bracing for complete collapse of civilization, but you think everything's going to be all right in the end. And I'm like, an apocalyptimist. It's a hippopotamus. Kind of sounds like a dinosaur or something. Anyway, but an apocalyptimist, whatever. Listen, look at Kiev, look at Venezuela, look at the NSA illegal spying stuff, look at the suggestions to put FCC monitors inside of the newsroom, violating your First Amendment rights. Cops are arresting people for jaywalking. They're Kelly Thomas getting murdered on camera. They're not acquitted. Cops shoot a kid holding a Wii remote. Things are just being ramped up so much. All the huge bullet purchases. It's time to get ready. It's beyond time to get ready. You need to be really, really, really ready. So we're going to cover all these crazy stories. We're going to bring in Blake the Eccentric Walley. He's a radio host. You can hear him every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on freedomizerradio.com from noon to 1:30 p.m. Pacific. You can also search for his podcast. Search Eccentric Perspective on iTunes, and you can like his page. Also, you can sign up for his podcast. Check out his homepage at eccentricperspective.com, and on Twitter he's at eccentric99. So without further ado, let's bring in Blake the Eccentric Walley to the program, shall we? Yes, we shall.
Hello.
Blakenstein, welcome to the program, sir. How you doing?
Awesome, Brian. How are you?
You're awesome. You sound as if the sarcasm is dialed up at least 17% today. Am I accurately depicting the inflection in your voice?
No, maybe not today. I wasn't thinking that. No, but it's okay. I'm just chilling. Okay, maybe awesome is a slight exaggeration, but no, I'm actually doing okay though, Brian. How are you though? That's the real question.
Living the dream. You know that. Living the dream.
Right.
I used to bartend with this guy, Devin, also from Ohio. I think he's from Akron, down in Long Beach. And because I said it so many times, every time he'd see me, he'd be like, Triple B, living the dream. Like every time he'd see me, he was just clowning around. But anyway, I that was an homage.
Oh, this has been going on for long. All right.
Oh yeah, I've been saying this since maybe I was 18, 19, 20. The story goes was
Wow.
there was this guy Tony. He was a golf pro, and he used to come into the bar that I worked at. I was a server before I was old enough to be a bartender, which I became at 21. And he'd always come in and, hey Tony, how you doing? Another day in paradise, Merlot. You know, and he'd order his red wine. Another day in paradise, Cabernet. You know, and he'd order his just all monotone and another day in paradise. Then he'd start, how are you doing? Living the dream. Like I need a catchphrase. Another day in paradise versus living the dream. So anyway, I'll credit Tony with the advent of that. But our bartender last night actually said living the dream. Go figure. I spent a lot of my time in bars. Moving on. Welcome to the program. I already told people about your radio show. Give the folks, I'm going to use an Obama phrase, give the folks back home a 20-second pitch of your radio program and why they should listen, Blake.
It is outside-the-box politics and philosophy and gonzo journalism. It's a little bit, it's a little different. I try to challenge your critical thinking skills. And, yeah, that's about it. Just to get you to change the way you think and perceive the news, I suppose.
But be warned.
That was fun. But be warned, with knowledge comes responsibility. And you might not see the world the same way as I try and attempt to. I forget. I'm basically, yeah, we're just discussing my intro/commercial for the show.
Yeah, because in full disclosure, right. I have been just like you have been on Agree to Disagree so much. You're damn near a co-host. For a while there, I was doing the show with you a lot, where I was damn near a co-host as well. But yeah, definitely check out Blake and his program 3 days a week. We do about one a week. I want to bounce real fast. I just want to get. There was so much going on today. I'm not really sure how I want to do this. And by today, I mean this week, rather. In the past 7 days, I just wanted to tell everybody, if they haven't seen it yet, check out the Korn video for "Spike in My Veins." Have you had a chance to see that one, Blake? Did we talk about this last week? I kind of forget.
No, we mentioned Jonathan Davis perhaps being on the Alex Jones show last Friday, which he wasn't due to a Skype problem, and he was on the show Monday.
Oh, see, I was actually thinking about that because I just...
That was about...
Okay. Yeah, because I interviewed their guitar player, Monkey, and I was just thinking about it today, like, who do I get on the program to talk about it? But it's basically Korn's take on NSA spying. And it's a good video. The Korn video finds the band performing in front of a bank of television sets as recent events like Toronto Mayor Rob Ford's arrest, Miley Cyrus's MTV Video Music Awards performance, Richard Sherman's post-NFC Championship game rant, and coverage of Justin Bieber, among others, featured on the screens. But within each clip, there appears to be a glitch as shots of President Obama on celebrity talk shows are intermingled with his political comments on NSA spying. The clip, debuting at Rolling Stone, and frontman Jonathan Davis told the magazine's website of the video, "We are also caught up in watching crazy media on the internet and TV that we are manipulated into ignoring that our privacy has all but disappeared. Spike in My Veins appears to be the band's Paradigm Shift album, which has already yielded the hit songs Never Never and Love and Meth." But it's good, because this is what rock bands need to be talking about this. They need to be talking about this. And I was really happy. I think it was Dan Johnson that brought this to my attention last week. That's right. So it's been about a week since it's been on my radar. So I'm just telling everybody again, check out the new video, share it, because people need to know that the loss of privacy is the precursor to just total fascism and domination and rule by a boot on the back of your neck. As soon as everybody can track you and knows all your networks and how to get to you through your family and friends, it's not much longer before the switch is turned, and it is crucially, it is dangerous. This is radiation level danger zone that we're entering with our loss of privacy, and I'm glad that Korn had a chance to say something about it. So I'm putting it on our Facebook feed and our Twitter feed as we speak. So just making sure that was on your radar, Blake.
No, I appreciate that. I was a Korn fan from way back before they were popular, and I used to absolutely their first album was so groundbreaking. I used to listen to that all the time. Oh yeah, a lot of good times. Right at that right age, like high school and college, and oh yeah, going to listening to that album with the black light, smoking a little. A side issue, but yeah, good times. I was a big Korn fan, and I actually met Head. I have a autographed poster from him. He's a former guitar player, I believe. So interesting side. Well, not really, but anyway.
Yeah,
good stuff, and it was an interesting interview that he was Jonathan Davis on Monday on Alex Jones. So it's really, yeah, as you said, it's very important. For a lot of these artists, they reach out to tons of people. A lot of these people might not be aware of some of these things, so it is a really big deal for them to do that and to put themselves on the line, because they do come under fire for speaking out against the establishment like that. There's apparently lots and lots of people that are awake in the music industry in Hollywood, and they're scared it's going to hurt their careers. So kudos to Korn for doing what they're doing. So awesome, and I look forward to checking out that video, Brian.
You're a big fan of the alliteration. I think you could tag this hashtag kudos for Korn, the double K, but maybe like the K could be turned backwards or something, or because that's it's actually the R that's backwards. Right. Anyway,
no,
I digress. But yeah, I mean that was just a little FYI as we get going here, because there is so much going on this week. Just everything in Kiev and Venezuela, more cop abuse. It's like you can't do anything without seeing just people getting mowed down for holding a Wii controller. The people busting into the wrong house or killing Kelly Thomas on camera. You have Venezuela and Ukraine on fire. Things are erupting all over the place. You have 20 bankers committing suicide. Air quotes, suicide. Yeah. Must be something in the water, right? So, I don't know where to pick up and what you think are the most important stories of the news, but I've pretty much dominated the first 6 minutes having you on the program, and I'd like to shut up and just kind of hear some of the stories you've been covering now, because it's just been nonstop this week. It just seems like things are really ramping up right now.
Well, yeah, there's definitely been a few key stories, and yeah, there is an ongoing saga in Ukraine. Haven't kept up too much with the Venezuela, but yeah, they're also having issues. There's issues all over the world. People are getting fed up, and government's out of control, so people are standing up, and it's probably a matter of time before we see more of the same here in the United States. So we'll see. We hope not. We're hoping to discuss these issues like we're doing right now, so that we can raise awareness and people, can find a peaceful way to solve the issues facing us today. But yeah, the Ukraine, and Venezuela, of course. The other big story that had a resolution today, in fact, because exactly from people outraged, speaking out on the FCC. That was probably the top story of the week.
This is the one I need to cover.
Massive outrage.
Yeah, can we reset and just from the beginning? What's going on with this story? I have got to get this out here. Do you have something pulled up where we can just backtrack to where the origin of this nonsense started, and why in the hell has this been actually debated as something legitimate that we might want to consider doing? This thing is beyond astonishing to me. This is my number one story of the week. I didn't even touch on it in the intro either.
Right, and I'm trying to find the name because I only pulled up a couple of articles, so I don't know if I have. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's from Ajit Pai. I guess this has actually been going on for a while, but it was kind of brought to light from a couple of sources. One of the FCC commissioners, apparently, I think there's like 5 of them, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, about 11 days ago, talking about the possibility of basically federal bureaucrats from the FCC going into U.S. newsrooms to kind of talk about what they might be covering and such, asking questions. I forget what they called it, CIN. Let me see if I can pull that up. I know there's so many articles that I've only had a couple in front of me on that, so I didn't really have it set to start from the very beginning, but if you give me a minute, I'm sure I can pull one of those up, because there was a good article here, Paul Joseph Watson, InfoWars, with a great video here of Judge Napolitano from Fox News talking about how this is the radical new era of tyranny. Had some great stuff from Glenn Beck yesterday, asking America to wake up. So yeah, from today, this is now, there has been a change, so there has been a reaction after the outcry. So we've got Judge Andrew Napolitano warns that the Obama administration's the plan to have FCC bureaucrats monitor newsrooms represents a radical new era of tyranny and would squash press freedoms. So let's see. Okay, this is the White House proposal. It's entitled A Multi-Market Study of Critical Information Needs. That would be CIN. Would dispatch researchers from the federal agency to, quote, grill reporters, editors, and station owners about how they decide which stories to run. Now, that was according to that FCC Commissioner Ajit Pai, who, like I said, wrote that op-ed. So Napolitano here was on Fox and Friends saying, what will they think of next? Adding that the proposed measure would chill freedom of the press to an extent where editors and broadcasters would worry about covering certain issues due to fear of government retribution. Going on to say...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on. We lost you at retribution, and then you came back. That was your retribution. They're letting you know that they're listening.
Yeah, right. So Napolitano was saying is labeling the measure was a direct violation of the First Amendment. And he says, absolutely chilling. And he says, chilling is a term of art to people who study the Constitution, and it basically means you are afraid to express yourself fully because the federal agents are looking over your shoulder. Yeah.
Do you say anything differently on the radio and your telephone and through text now that you know the NSA is compiling a data log against you, a dossier on you? Have you changed any of the things you say?
No, not really. It hasn't really affected me a whole lot. Maybe I'm a little bit more mindful about what I peruse around on the internet, but outside of that, it hasn't really affected me much whatsoever. I'm at the point where I just don't really care.
All right. Well,
I don't know. How about you, Brian? Has it changed you much at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, it has.
Oh, it has?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It has. I
kind of assumed, yeah.
You assumed what?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I kind of assumed they've probably been monitoring for a long time anyway, but of course Snowden made it official, but he didn't really know, and sometimes you just have to, live your life or whatever, and like to try to think that your stuff is private, but no, it's really not, and I can only imagine what's in my dossier and everything they've monitored for the last 15 years or so of all the internet activity, or actually it's been going on, where's it, about 20 years, I think, aren't we, Brian, from when they first invented the internet? Not that I was into anything that controversial back then in the beginning, but think all the books I've read and just been kind of relatively awake and kind of studying, conspiracy theories on the internet since, I don't know, probably the late 90s. So, I can only imagine they've got all of that stuff on a file somewhere and have everything down. I can only imagine what's all in it. I don't know if I'll be able to fill out a Freedom of Information request or anything like that, but interesting. So, But yeah, it is a chilling factor.
There's people out there that say, oh, well, what are you worried about? I think it's weird that you want your privacy. And it's like, no, I think it's weird that you want to know my information. No, I'm not letting you turn this around here. That's just really creepy. It's really creepy and weird. But this...
everyone's looked up stuff on the internet or, exchanged sensitive emails or there's all kinds of things. There's somebody close to you, and you want all that information that's not, by a bunch of, by the government just to, I don't know, chill you or control you or keep you in line. I don't know. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. Well, anyway. But this is
That's
just
not the way it's intended to be. This is not what our forefathers fought for this country for. They were very specific, not to, about the Fourth Amendment, and not because you could imagine, what if it's like having British troops back in the day, going through all your mail and stuff. That's not cool, or going through all your love letters or what have you back in the day. I don't know. So that's what the forefathers did, and now they're changing this all around under the guise of national security, and it needs to stop.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm all right with that. But this FCC thing, this was just one guy with an opinion. This wasn't like a policy, right? Am I understanding this correctly?
Well, it's hard to say. This is one guy leaking this out, and it is one of the commissioners at the FCC, so it comes from right above, right from within. So it is credible. I did see one hack at Media Matters trying to act like this was just a conspiracy theory, but that's just totally doesn't have any basis for that whatsoever. So no, this was a big deal, and you saw just everyone go into outrage mode in the last few days once this all leaked out. So Paul Joseph Watson really drove that out of InfoWars, and next thing you know, Glenn Beck, and it was all over Fox News, and I could only imagine the rest of talk radio, because that's what most people were thinking this was going to be going after mostly talk, the conservative talk radio and Fox News, and try to control what kind of information is being put out there. So not so much an outrage from the Democrats, because I don't really know what are they going to do? What are these FCC people going to do? What is the agenda here? How are they going to change things? Are they going to give the same scrutiny to MSNBC as they are Fox, or are they going to determine what's in the public interests? What kind of agenda people are pushing? How they determine these stories? It is chilling to say the least, and to have a bunch of federal bureaucrats in the newsroom. But it wouldn't even be beyond that, because it was going to go past just radio and video. It was also going to go towards print media, so newspapers, and the FCC is not in charge of that kind of stuff. They only do radio and TV, not print. So very strange. The second thing to add to that is that the United States and its press freedoms have fallen dramatically over the years. We've actually fallen. I don't know if anyone wants to guess out there. Where do you think that the United States ranks in terms of press freedom? And I think most people would probably say in the top 5 or top 10, or hopefully number 1. And I'm sure there was probably a time. Well, I'm sure there was a time for a long time when we were number 1. That was unquestioned. This is the freest country in the world. But now we've fallen to number 46. So, we don't have the press freedom anymore. So there's definitely this administration's involved in a lot of things they don't think are in the public interest, and they're antagonizing the AP, certain journalists they don't like, always trying to control what's out there, control the narrative, and this is the latest big giant power grab. But the good news is that today it appears that the study is now on hold after the outcry.
46th press freedom. Yeah, and now we need FCC monitors looking over my shoulders if Big Brother wasn't bad enough on my cell phone and on my computer. So I got to cover up my little spy cameras looking at me. They can be remotely accessed. It's insane. Blake, what the hell happened to us?
Yeah.
Have we always sucked, but we were just lied to enough where the dummies just believed, hey, we're number 1, we're number 1. Have we always sucked?
No. I think a lot of this, I guess it's been conditioned. Maybe it's just too much prosperity has led to a certain decadence and people falling asleep, and with the TV these days, and people getting too wrapped up in things that don't matter, and not paying enough attention to the power structure and what was going on in D.C. and the media and such, and things just kind of slowly got worse when people weren't paying attention. And then, of course, after 9/11, everything changed, and then all of a sudden, with the whole world is now with this security state, and so now they get away with all of this stuff under national security. And no, it's pretty crazy. And if we don't do something about it, well, there is some. I mean, obviously there is some pushback. There have been some victories. It appears that the government's been overreaching. People are really getting upset. Media, government, losing all their credibility, losing their ratings big time. So yeah, I mean, it's some pretty exciting times. So hopefully we can reverse all the damage and go back to being the best, freest country in the world again, or at least close. But yeah, certainly have got some work to do still. But some positive, there's some negative, and this is good, because this could have just gone quietly in the night and nobody would have noticed, and we could be screaming into a vacuum right now about the FCC bureaucrats going in newsrooms, and there wouldn't be anybody that would care. So, and then where does it go from there? And then you can imagine where this stuff would go if the FCC, say, push that agenda to control the news, or, with from the top at the establishment and the White House. And, pretty soon you wouldn't have the press, and you wouldn't be able to criticize the administration, if they were controlling what the news was, put out. So it sets a very dangerous precedent, and that's not what this country was about. And hopefully we'll see this. We'll see some light at the end of the tunnel here, and fix this before it gets any farther out of control than it is.
Yes, indeed. We're talking with Blake the Eccentric Walley. Follow him on Twitter at eccentric99. I found this one. Just another case of, is this really necessary? At 10:45 a.m. on Thursday, February 20th, APD officers approached a woman at the intersection of 24th and San Antonio. I believe this is Austin, Texas. After witnessing her jog across the street. According to advertising senior Chris Quintero, who also witnessed the arrest, when the woman did not stop, the officer quickly grabbed her by the arm and quickly placed her in handcuffs. And this is I'm going to play it. Let's see if we can make out anything here. First time watching it.
I saw you.
Taking pictures, this girl just running, looking very freaked out by two fat cops, being led away, being filmed by citizen journalists, still looking very freaked out, thrown into the car by 4 police officers. God bless the citizen journalists everywhere, catching everything on camera. You hear her screaming? Screaming, "I didn't do anything." I think she called him an effing pig.
Yeah.
And she said, "I crossed the street." And so you have a situation where someone just has disappeared off the street. 4 police officers who like to go to doors and
pig. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Sorry.
That's what I heard.
It could be. Who knows? All right.
What I mean, at that point, when you're, failure to provide. What is?
Because I didn't. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was looking at one of these quotes. It was hard to say. It says, "I didn't effing do anything wrong. I just crossed the street." Yeah, I retweeted this one out today. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's just How far? Let me ask you this: how far away are we removed, literally, from this being a police state? After watching Kelly Thomas get murdered on camera, the policeman puts on his gloves in Fullerton, California, and says, "You see these fists? They're getting ready to F you up," and they beat him to death on camera as he's calling out for help. 6 officers beating him to death.
Well, Brian, do you know? I mean, for all we know, he was a notorious jaywalker, and that is one of the worst crimes you can commit. So, might have been a justifiable type of thing. And it's time to teach these joggers a lesson that you don't cross the road without having the crosswalk light on, or you're going to go to jail. And if you don't have any ID on you, then you're probably a terrorist, and they should probably deport her.
So don't you have the right to be on the planet without an ID on you? Seriously,
not anymore. Well, how do we know you're not Al Qaeda then? I mean, what are you thinking? She could go and vote if she wanted to. That's fine, but you don't want to be jogging without some ID.
Lord Almighty. All right. Well, anyway, that's another weird one that I found. Go ahead, your turn.
Yeah. So yes, no, that's all right. Yeah, jaywalker near the University of Texas. Yeah, so they shook her down pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the update on that. Yeah, 4 cops throwing her into a squad car. Wow, there's over 1,000 comments on this article. I just looked at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Uh-huh.
All right, more viral than I thought, but yeah, everyone's wondering the same thing. What, is that a good use of our police resources? Shake down some college girls that are jogging around, apparently jaywalking. I don't know.
But don't forget, in New Mexico,
Well,
you
Brian,
get stopped for a
right.
random police stop, and they start sticking their fingers up your butt. And then they take you to go get enemas at the hospital, and then they force you for colonoscopies, and then they, that just happened in New Mexico. So, and at this point, anytime you're pulled over by the police, you got to be thinking about Kelly Thomas. You got to be thinking about a fist up your rectum by the New Mexico police. You got to be thinking about, are they going to shoot me because I answered the door with a remote control in my hand? We had somebody on our YouTube.
I don't want to laugh with that.
No. Somebody on our Facebook page. I'm trying to scroll down to find it here now. Where the hell is it? Okay, yeah. This Carrie Dad. She's been one of the people liking our Facebook page for a long time now. And I covered this story. Teen who wanted to be a Marine was shot and killed by cops while holding a Wii controller. And this Carrie Dad, she said, "This is very sad and it almost happened to me. The cops knocked on the wrong door and I was looking for my neighbor." Knocked on the wrong door and was looking for my neighbor. I was watching television and answered the door with a remote in my hand. He yelled, "What's in your hand?" And I answered, "A remote." She said, "Thank you, God, for sparing my life," and I was caring for my parents at the time. The no hesitation targets have people thinking everybody's Bin Laden behind a bush. Everything is Bin Laden. There's box cutters everywhere. Everything's a bomb. Everything's a terrorist. And this is really stupid. You're seeing more and more cases of police overreach, of abuse. I was almost thrown down a flight of stairs despite showing 0 signs of aggression by the LAPD last year. So I'm speaking from a personal standpoint.
Were you jaywalking?
I was almost falling. I don't know. I didn't wait proper signs to go get thrown down a flight of stairs in my flip-flops and Hawaiian shirt at my friend's little beach party. Just an escalation of violence over nothing. There was no need to get violent, and they did. They were happy to. And when you got down the stairs, there were 2 more that were there waiting for you up in your face. So, I mean, this stuff is happening all over the planet. Have you seen this one about the Wii controller? Have you followed that story?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 17-year-old kid who wanted to join the Marines, and the cop came over to, I guess his dad had some issue with the probation or something like that, so the officer came to check on him. The 17-year-old boy, who must have been playing his Nintendo Wii, answered the door with the Wii in his hand, and the officer, no hesitation, just shot him. And, really tragic, awful story.
Yeah, do you remember the Christopher Dorner?
Very preventable. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And do you remember what happened?
Out in your backyard.
Mm-hmm. And did you see what happened when they shot the wrong people?
Yeah, that was stupid because it was like, yeah, they had a description of the guy, a description of the truck he was driving, and then they had, the cops were just flipping out, just itchy trigger fingers, looking to go hunt this guy down and shooting at the wrong vehicles and people that didn't even match the description. That was, pretty ugly, and some people got hurt, and luckily it didn't get any worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah, they shot two Latino women in a blue car. It didn't match the description at all. These were women. They were Latino. They weren't black. They weren't driving the same vehicle. And they just shot this vehicle to hell. And these people aren't being punished. It's just like you go across the country, you see more and more of this stuff. How long before you have someone just getting grabbed off the street, jogging or playing the Wii or just delivering newspapers, and there's no damn repercussions for these monsters that are just out there committing acts of violence. And that's where I think libertarians get it right is, they just call to point out the police have a monopoly on force, and this is really wrong. This is really weird that so many violations of personal freedoms and liberties can just be taken. Just especially that Christopher Dorner one, the Kelly Thomas one. I don't know exactly the jaywalking, whatever. It was just, you hear her screaming, I wasn't doing anything. What the hell's wrong with you guys? Anyway, I just wanted to bring that one up because...
You're just out for a morning jog, and all of a sudden you're being shaken down for a trivial crime and for not, I guess, having ID. I don't exactly know. But, definitely an overreaction. And I'm just glad the whole thing is filmed because now it shames those officers. And so, I don't know. Hopefully that'll... hopefully that gets around. I don't know. I don't want to demonize the police over a few of these bad incidents. But, they need to take a step back, take a chill pill. And it's a lot of the government and the Department of Homeland Security that is, training them that the Tea Party and gun owners are basically the new enemy. They're the new Al Qaeda. And, they're always on the lookout and not hesitating. Of course, they had those no hesitation targets that were bought up by the Department of Homeland Security that depict pictures of senior citizens and pregnant mothers and children carrying guns. It's really disgusting. They're federalizing them, and of course we had that story last week. We're talking about the National Guard in Ohio. We're talking about the fake city that they built in Virginia. And that's what they're doing. They're training for gun owners and gun confiscations, stuff like that, civil unrest, those sorts. And they're training that we are the new enemy. So anybody that speaks out against the government.
Okay, so is there an enemy that's...
We need the police on our side, right?
So is there an enemy that's going after the United States people right now? Is it time to declare war on the people attacking the good guys in our country? With Homeland Security and the Ohio National Guard training to go after gun owners, that's not a crime. That's a right. That's damn near. That's a responsibility, in my opinion, to be the last line of defense. If there are people trying to take our constitutional rights away, our First Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, our 10th Amendment, our Second Amendment, isn't that an act of war? Isn't that a declared war against the people?
In a way, yeah. When you sneak through like NDAA, when you basically try to sneak through a bill when people aren't paying attention on the New Year's Eve, and it basically declares the world battlefield in the United States, and that you can lock somebody up without any due process and not give him a lawyer or anything like that, all because you suspect them of being terrorism or terrorists, and then you can kind of redefine what terrorism is, and that could just include dissidents that speak out against the government or speak out against government overreach, stuff like that. Yeah, so it is pretty crazy, and yeah, they are coming after the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Yeah, they're going after freedom of speech. They're always trying to crack down on that. And if it's not the FCC putting bureaucrats in there, or the TPP, or SOPA, PIPA, CISPA, ACTA, all that kind of stuff, yeah, then they're trying to, or they're going after the press, so they're trying to chill them, give up their sources, or the NSA, and going after the AP and harassing some of these journalists out there. It's constant trying to go after the guns and trying to crack down and get everybody registered, or whether it's the Fourth Amendment, more the NSA. Yes, they're always going after all this stuff, and yeah, in a way you could say that they are the enemy, but then you speak out against it, and then they say that you're the enemy. So yeah, I mean there is sort of a where I guess you could kind of say it's almost like we're in a Cold War of sorts right now. It's an informational war, and hopefully it doesn't go hot, but there's certainly some concern when the Department of Homeland Security is arming to the teeth and over 2 billion rounds. They've had some new contracts out recently and stocking up on sniper ammunition and all that kind of good stuff. TSA, yeah, you know what? We're who knows? And I mean, are we going towards economic collapse? That's another thing. And then there's this big purge that you mentioned in the beginning with all these supposed suicides going on within the banking industry right now. So,
by the way, I heard
certainly a lot of exciting developments.
I heard a great interview yesterday. You guys should check it out on Coast to Coast AM. I'll have to look up the gentle. Oh no, he went by V. That's right. He went by V. I'm actually going to pull it up to tell you about it. Banker deaths. In the first half, former commodities trader and guerrilla economist V talked about the recent mysterious deaths of bankers, including 3 who worked at J.P. Morgan. According to his source, there are some 20 dead bankers, and some of the deaths appear to be connected. 2 of the J.P. Morgan bankers that recently died, Gabriel McGee, 39, and Ryan Henry Crane, 37, had similar executive positions and may have been looking at the same spreadsheets, V conjectured. They uncovered something that was so heinous, so incredible, that if it were to get out, you would see a massive amount of reprisals and people getting arrested or thrown in jail. So this is a clean house method being perpetrated before our eyes, he continued. He suggested that the deaths might be connected to a massive $2 billion loss incurred by J.P. Morgan trader Bruno Ixil in 2012 involving credit default swaps, a huge manipulation going on in the precious metals market, and fraud involving LIBOR, the London interest rate, and Forex, the currency market. V views the bankers' deaths as a harbinger of an economic implosion and believes they're being murdered with a scripted suicide story placed as a cover-up. It was a hell of an interview with this guerrilla economist known as V on last night's Coast to Coast. I just listened to it today. It was pretty incredible. I mean, what's your gut telling you researching this story with all these banker deaths?
I mean, I haven't dug into it a lot, into the details, but I've definitely been following some stories about that. There is a new one out today from Paul Joseph Watson. He's, I don't even know what to say about this one. Yeah, new clues in the suicide of J.P. Morgan banker add to mystery. There's a lot of things going on with J.P. Morgan, or whether it's LIBOR. There's all kinds of scams these guys are involved in, and currency swaps and all other ways that they have to make basically a lot of like white collar criminals, basically manipulating the markets. And a lot of people have been accusing J.P. Morgan of messing with the precious metal industry. Basically, it's like the age-old scam of acting like you have a bunch of silver on hand when you don't. You can sit out and give stocks, sell silver on paper all day, but they say that they don't actually have the metals there, and they've always involved in some kind of financial scam. So I don't know if there's a big purge going on, or if there's a collapse about to happen, or there's some investigations going on, and some of these guys are afraid that they're basically going to be locked up for the rest of their life once all these frauds are exposed. So maybe they're jumping, or it's people from above who are afraid of some of these guys blowing the whistle on them. So, yeah, some pretty and this is one of the good stories. I guess it is good to cover because you're not really, even though this is a huge deal, I don't really think I've seen anything in the mainstream press about this, Brian. They're seeing this, all kinds of sources in the independent media, but I don't think, I haven't seen anything on this from Fox or anybody else. I don't know how you cannot cover something of this magnitude when you have several bankers, and it's unclear exactly how many so far, maybe 7 to 20. There's another, I don't know, or how all these things connected, but I mean, it'd be nice to get, some mainstream media involved here and find out what's going on, whether it's a purge or who knows. What else did you hear in that interview, Brian?
It was just kind of astonishing. God, there was so much. It was a full 2 hours, and it was a really compelling interview. They sold, man, I think I'm getting this right, that J.P. Morgan sold their headquarters in Manhattan right there in the financial district with an underground vault, what do they say, 100 feet tall and as wide as a football field, with direct connection underground to the Federal Reserve of New York. Sold it to China for, what was it, $300 million when it was valued at $3 billion. Anyway, you're going to have to just listen to it, but it just sounds like the amount of corruption and lies and theft that's been occurring is so far beyond what people recognize that as soon as this gets out, and it's getting out, you guys can't hide it. Give it up. It's the jig is up. Come out with your hands up, see? Meh.
Right.
Yes. You can't keep the dam from, the water's coming. You might as well get on the right side of it here. But man, China's not buying up at all of our debt anymore. They're purchasing damn near entire cities all across the United States, taking over the factories. They said the new sweatshops are going to be here when the economy collapses. A lot of conjecture and stuff, obviously, but
right.
It just really
what
had
they'd like to do, yeah.
Well, it really had me on edge today when you really start connecting the dots and realizing how bad our just completely bogus system is. Like, this is not the system we thought it was. I like the concept of capitalism when it's an equal playing field, but when everything is skewered, when everything is artificially manipulated and controlled from behind the scenes, that's not capitalism. I ran into that in California starting my corporation. Like, that was the biggest pain in the ass just trying to get my talent agency up and running. It took, what did it take, over a year and a half to get legal? Like, they want to charge you thousands of dollars unnecessarily. They want to drag you through the process month after month after month after month after month. They don't want competition, and they've bought off the people that make these processes. It's like the tougher it is for people to compete with them. That's why Bitcoin, who wants to compete with the dollar? Well, that's, the guest was saying that's why Gaddafi was taken out. He had 8 different northern African countries were on the same page, and they were using gold, and they were getting rid of the dollar. The China and Russia energy deal has taken trading oil out of the basket of currencies and with the U.S. dollar to direct gold. That J.P. Morgan, they're getting busted. Wells Fargo, that there are several companies and subsidiaries and people affiliated with them that are promising money and selling certificates of silver or gold, and it doesn't exist, and China's already repatriated some of it, and a lot of it's been stolen. It's just, the more you dig around, the crazier
Germany,
it gets.
they can't get their money back either, yeah.
And they've put limits on the money that you can take out at the bank. One, you're protected by the FDIC, but not in case of a cyber attack. Just, the whole interview had me really on edge today. If you can't tell, I have a bit of a different demeanor today.
No, you're right. They've destroyed the integrity of the system, and yeah, they have taken out some of these guys that weren't, playing ball, like Gaddafi or whatever. And yeah, they got some of these other places that are, swapping gold and stuff like that, and getting out of the U.S. dollar, exactly as you say. And there's all this derivatives fraud, and yeah, J.P. Morgan doesn't have all the metals they say they do. And so, yeah, they've been manipulating and playing around, and these just greedy bankers have been screwing around with the economy. And, at some point, I guess it's going to be, the fraud is going to be revealed, and these guys better be scared that there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be consequences for all the crimes that they've been committing behind the scenes.
Yeah, okay.
So whether they're suicides or whether they're being knocked off, we don't really know, or a combination of both. But, yeah, there's a lot of people dying, some very prominent guys that know a lot, that are in high positions of this big bank, and the media has so far been very silent about that.
Yeah, fantastic.
I don't know how you can do that. Right.
I don't know, man.
Fantastic.
Well, what else you got? An Ohio sheriff refuses to renew concealed gun carry refuses to renew concealed carry permits, and he's indicted on 25 counts. That's a nice one. When is this one from? Washington state legislators pass a hemp nullification bill. Okay, what else? Yeah, obviously Ukraine. The stuff going on in Kiev and Venezuela. I don't know. I mean, what else have you found? Let's get a couple from you. I have a few more queued up here.
Sure. Well, we could discuss the Ukraine. Now, I haven't gotten into a lot of this stuff because it's very confusing, but and it's hard to really say who the good guys are in this. But it's also being exposed a bit that this thing is. There's people, involved in overthrowing this government, but are they going to be better off, and are they being manipulated by funding from George Soros outlets? It seems like, whenever seems like you see a group of people that are going to overthrow their government and be better off, and it seems like the opposition is being manipulated, and they end up being in just as bad of a position, like the Arab Spring or Egypt or something like that, to get rid of Hosni Mubarak, and then all of a sudden you got the United States meddling in, and then they want their group in there, the Muslim Brotherhood, a terrorist group basically, that'll at least play ball with some of their interests. So you could have something similar going on here in the Ukraine, where they might have a bad leader, but then you're going to you think that you're gonna get you're gonna sign them up to join the EU now? Like that's gonna be a better position. You're gonna get these other George Soros bureaucrats or Goldman Sachs gang or who knows, and that's all of a sudden they think they're be in a better position, and they're not. So that's the problem with these things, is that you want people to get their freedom, but then there's a lot of manipulation going on. So I could start with there's a pretty good article yesterday from Paul Joseph Watson talking about there's this viral video called "I Am a Ukrainian" that's been going it's probably over 5 million views. But the problem with it is it's supposed to look like it's in grassroots thing, but it's actually done with high-def cameras. It's like a Coney 2012 style thing, and I think that's also from that same company involved here. So they're manipulating the people here. So as they seize weapons, take over government buildings, and fire on media outlets, the U.S.-backed Ukrainian protesters are being afforded legitimacy with the aid of a Coney 2012 style viral video, which triumphs the grassroots nature of the demonstrations, yet is linked to shadowy groups that have been directly involved in staging phony color revolutions in the past. The origins of the video are not as quite as grassroots as portrayed. The clip was produced by the team behind A Whisper to a Roar, a documentary about the fight for democracy all over the world, funded by Prince Moulay Hicham of Morocco, and the inspiration behind the documentary was none other than Larry Diamond, a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Let's see here. Also worked with International Development, U.S.AID. And let's see here. He also played an instrumental role in the Arab Spring. I'm trying to cherry pick some of this. So in a Huffington Post interview, the creator of the video admits that he was in Ukraine preparing a film on democracy before the protests even started.
Dad,
Now, providing... Oh, yeah, here's another thing I wanted... Sorry, I don't want to keep controlling here. Providing absolute confirmation
No, please,
certainly,
please, go ahead. I was pulling up a story, and I hate when these channels go into autoplay with ads with sound. God.
No, I know. I hate that,
especially
too.
for radio. It's like, come on, man, we're working here. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No worries. You got to be careful with the Hill and Breitbart. I know. I hate those pop-up videos. So providing absolute confirmation that this video here, this Kony 2012 style I am a Ukrainian video, it's a carefully thought-out public relations stunt. The woman in the video was immediately invited to appear on CNN with Anderson Cooper in a segment that will be broadcast, I guess that would be yesterday. Cooper and CNN aggressively pushed the Kony 2012 hoax until it fell apart when that guy had that mental breakdown. That was in San Diego there. Cooper was also heavily involved in promoting the fake Syria Danny hoax. Yeah, that got busted, and that relied on staged footage to push for U.S. military intervention in Syria. And then, of course, with clear evidence of protesters being paid, there's actually being funded and paid. So amidst accusations that they were armed by the United States, the narrative behind the Ukraine crisis is clearly more complex than a mere grassroots revolt against corruption. The pro-EU protesters are bizarrely seeking closer ties with the European Union, infamous for its institutionalized corruptions, malfeasance, which costs almost the same each year as Ukraine's entire GDP. And another reason, pulling up the video and listening to Paul Joseph Watson, he's also got a 12-minute analysis video, and he says this is kind of a geopolitically, this whole Ukraine thing is to isolate Russia as part of a big encirclement of Russia by the powers that be, because Russia isn't playing ball with the rest of the world. So, they can encircle them with NATO or whoever. But, yeah, it's hard to say who to trust here. So I'm not saying the current regime is good, but I am saying that the people that they want to put in, or these protesters get their way, they're going to get something even worse. And I don't think it would be a great idea to be tied into the European Union either. So it's too bad there's not a third choice, but I just hope that the Ukrainian people can figure all this stuff out, and do what's best for themselves, and get the freedom that they deserve, and everybody else.
I'm trying to make sense of all of it myself, from Venezuela over to Ukraine. Like, I get that there's a chess match being played that you're watching, and then underneath the table there's another game of chess, and then in the closet there's another game of chess, and they're all linked together. I get it, but, definitely watching Egypt, we should learn. Careful what you wish for. You want to take out a bad guy to put in the Muslim Brotherhood of all freaking things? Seriously? No. Don't want to put Al-Qaeda in charge, don't want to put the Muslim Brotherhood in charge. You got to be kidding me. So, I guess, are you saying...
Libya, yeah.
No, go ahead.
You're going to take out Assad? What are you going to put him in? Are you going to put an Al-Qaeda guy in there? I mean, it's insane.
Because they were trying to, but Vladimir Putin won that game of chess. Obama really isn't that bright, and his foreign policy is just a train wreck. I don't know what. No, I mean it. Obama really isn't that bright. I don't think he's. I don't
really know. I don't know where I stand with him. He's just totally corrupt. If he's a puppet, or how much power he's got, I really don't have any idea.
Well, see, my question is this: I don't know what's worse. Someone that's really good at playing the game of global politics, where it's just imperialism and it's killing hundreds of thousands of people just so you can go get natural resources and put in puppet governments. And how long has our country been doing that? Is it that our president's not good at that, or is it that he doesn't want to be like that anymore? But if he's actually altruistic, why is he signing the NDAA? Why is he taking over the healthcare industry, adding millions of dollars of cost to us, the people? I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. because Syria, they tried like hell to get us in Syria. And it's a sad day when I'm at the point where I'm believing Russia today and Vladimir Putin more than I'm believing the people in my own country, in my own White House, in my own press corps. Something's wrong with that, right?
I totally agree. No, yes, it is. It's sad. We've come a long way since the Cold War. Now we're seems like we're on a repeat of what Russia was doing. Russia before they collapsed, and they were, controlling all the media, and their economy was falling apart. But then they kept manipulating the data for so long and all of a sudden it just finally collapsed. And then they seem to get they seem to get more free. They seem to become maybe more like us, and then we became more like them. I don't know. It's like we switched spots. And I'm not saying Putin's a great guy, but
no, I'm not saying that.
Relatively speaking, I know, but it is sad when Russia today and Putin seem to be the beacon of freedom in the world compared to the United States dropping down to 46th, and our economy and our horrible foreign policy and imperialism, and Obama trying to become a king, and yes, ruling by fiat now, and so weird how things change like that. And now they're holding Snowden, their whistleblower. You could see us like holding Russian whistleblower back in the day or something, and what a hero he is. But now it's we've seen everything change. Very weird, and hopefully we can we can turn things around here again. That would be awesome. But still got some work to do, but a lot of positive developments lately, so that's good.
Well, you're talking about the president
we did get in that war with Syria.
Yeah, luckily we didn't go to war in Syria, and I guess that's kind of where it started for me, not with Syria, but rather with Snowden. When when he had to go to Russia to get safe haven, there's no doubt. I don't care what the courts are saying. I don't care what cleverly articulated argument from XYZ attorney. I don't care how people want to justify what the NSA is doing. It is completely illegal. It is completely against the Fourth Amendment of the United States. It is crystal clear that you have to obtain a specific warrant for what you want to search on the person. You cannot just grab everything all over the place, and you have to prove to yourself. You then it's the duty is on you to prove your innocence, and that is completely ass backwards. So when Snowden was actually able to land in Russia, and at least temporarily given safety, I was like, wow, you really have to go to Russia for freedom now. This is insane. And I get it. The enemy of your enemy is your friend, so of course let him in and try to get the information. And then of course, is he revealing too much information? Then he could become traitorous. But hey, you know what? He saw something. He said something. But I'm out here in California, and this other story popped up on. This is on ABCNews.com from 2 days ago. There's a petition to split California into 6 states. Have you seen it? Have you seen this one, Blake?
I did, but I didn't read it.
Real quickly, I'll give you the skim overview. A venture capitalist who feels that colossal California, that's your kind of writing, colossal California. You love the,
right.
Yeah.
Alliteration.
Alliteration, yes, thank you. It's been a long day. I could not find that adjective in my Rolodex. Anyway, venture capitalist who feels that colossal California is too unwieldy to govern is proposing to split it into 6 separate states, and Secretary of State Deborah Bowen has given him the green light to start collecting petition signatures. Tim Draper filed a ballot initiative in December stating that because of recent social and economic changes, California has become, quote, nearly ungovernable, end quote. He proposed dividing California into 6 states. San Diego and Orange County would make up South California. West California would include Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, while Bakersfield, Fresno, and Stockton would make up the larger Central California. San Francisco and San Jose would be in the new Silicon Valley. North California would include the Sacramento area, and Jefferson would be home to the Redding and Eureka areas. California, as it is ungovernable, Draper told ABC News today. It's more and more difficult for Sacramento to keep up with the social issues from the various regions of California. With 6 Californias, people will be closer to their state governments, and states can get a refresh. It's very interesting. And I've been seeing stuff in, where is it, Kentucky or Virginia? There's other states. What is it, Maryland
Colorado,
or Delaware?
Yeah.
People are just getting sick and not being represented.
Yeah, especially you get a lot of a lot of the people that live out in these rural areas don't want to necessarily be part of some of the laws that are taking place in the urban areas. So, and I understand, and yeah, California is really a disaster. So, I don't blame them for trying to, wanting to split the state up into several spots. I'd like to see, we were talking about the 10th Amendment earlier. I'd like to see, states exercise their 10th Amendment rights and be a little bit more independent and do what they want. And I don't like the federal government holding everybody hostage. They're there to protect our freedoms, protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and do certain things, but they've overreached. They're way too powerful and bloated and affecting everything. And I don't know if this is the solution or not. I don't know. It'd be crazy watching something like that happen. But I don't know how some of these other parts of California would survive. I mean, there's parts of California that are really resource rich. California could be, if it was its own country, would be one of the wealthiest countries in the world probably. But as part of California, it's absolutely going broke. But how is I don't know, how are things going to work out in L.A. versus the parts of the California that have all the the wine and the food and the resources versus some of the parts in the valley there in L.A. I don't know. Very weird. And I understand why some of those rural areas don't want to have the same taxes and regulations that they do in the cities, and it's very different. I don't know. It's worth a discussion. I don't know if it'll happen, but I certainly understand why people are, why this is becoming more of an issue, and I do like 10th Amendment rights. So I don't know. We'll see. Brian, that's your backyard, so your opinion's more valuable than mine.
NIMBY?
What do you think?
That'd be NIMBY, not in my backyard. MIMBY, MBY. Anyway, I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, being in LA, I don't know how that would necessarily affect me.
You're in a lot of trouble there. Yeah. if they cut you off and you were your own little area there.
West California.
I think they'd want to share the resources, the Northern California, with all of their they're raking in the money.
I don't know.
I don't want to share that with the rest of it.
But speaking about racking, on benswan.com it says Missouri legislators have voted to nullify all federal gun control laws. So that's pretty cool. That's on our Facebook feed. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I can. You're cutting out. I can barely.
Oh, you're getting a little bit of that too, because I had a little bit of that from you earlier. I was just saying that Missouri legislators have voted to nullify all federal gun control laws. Taken off benswan.com. Did you see that?
No. My top story of the day was actually Ben Swan, interviewed by Jesse Ventura of the Off the Grid. That's off of the Activist Post today. Thought that was a pretty good interview. But no, Ben Swan's been covering a lot of stories on these gun laws and such. So there's been a lot of developments lately on those issues.
Yeah, there was another one off the 10thamendmentcenter.com. Idaho Senate has voted to nullify any new federal gun control measures 34-0.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good to see these local levels. It's good to see them fighting back and against the federal government overreach, and that's really what you have. Our country was never founded to do that, and now it kind of holds the rest of the states hostage and forces 320 million people to live under the same laws, and that's screwing things up, and so starting to see some pushback, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
we need to just kind of celebrate the laws that we have, the Bill of Rights, and that needs to be very important and emphasized, and then leave us alone.
That's fair enough. I mean, there are. See, that's the thing. You're supposed to have representation on a local level. It's not supposed to be an overreaching national government telling you what to do across the board. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be regional, where you have control over what you do in your state. So you have control over what you do locally in your local politics. But when things grow out of hand, that's why there's a 10th Amendment. It's not supposed to be like this.
Yeah, because the federal government's got all this money. They're leeching it off the taxpayers, and they're basically bribing the local communities to have their way. Like, oh, if you do this, then you can have a bunch of this federal money, but, you're going to put in Common Core in your schools, and we'll give you all this grant, we'll give you all this money. And it's just like, that's really affecting everybody. So that needs to stop. They're taking our taxpayer money and, to push an agenda on us. That's not cool. That's not how it was intended, and this is why.
Yeah, but, they don't even have money. That's the point. They don't even have money. They're pretending they have money. They're just throwing it on a credit card. Eventually that check is going to bounce. Like, they're $17 trillion in the hole. They don't have what the money they're buying people off with.
It's going to bounce like a banker jumping off a building.
Oh,
right.
With a splat. Too soon?
Too soon. No, I don't think people are going to be freaking out over dead bankers, but it's too bad. I mean, it's terrible that our financial system is that rotten and corrupt that now I don't know. It's coming around Judgment Day or something. Not literally what I mean, just as soon as the law eventually catches up and the system can no longer function because of all the corruption, then, there's going to be people that are going to be outraged and want to, have a few, going to start retaliating against the bankers. So, I don't know.
All right. Stuff. You got a couple more on your side? Those are some of the ones that I've been finding from the past couple days.
No, I think I'm good. I'm having a really hard time understanding you with this.
Really?
Very garbled. It's just in the last 10 minutes, I'm having really a lot of difficulty trying to hear you.
All right. Do you have any last strong one that you wanted to leave with? Because I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. The only other thing that I have on my radar, which I thought was pretty hilarious this week, was this man-made climate change debate. Certainly some interesting debates on a Sunday morning, or last Sunday's talk show circuit. And it turns out that and of course, with this this man-made climate change thing, there was a great story out of the Daily Caller this week because there was so much controversy over this. This climate change stuff is settled. They really haven't been able to show any evidence. Really, they're falling apart with that narrative. They keep pushing it, even though the statistics show that in the polls that most people really don't care that much about climate change. You got, Obama trying to set up a $1 billion new initiative. He was out in California recently because of some of the droughts, and John Kerry was out, I think it was in Indonesia, all freaking out, like our number one priority is we got to fix this climate change thing, like that's such a scary thing. And then you got all these fancy schmancy scientists and their global warming models showing how we're going to be, underwater, and the polar caps are going to be melting, and we're all going to die because we're burning too much carbon and we're too overpopulated, and we need to, give all of our money to Al Gore so they can try to fix this climate change problem or what have you. And pretty hilarious and poetic, perhaps. It turns out that, and I read a very snarky article this week. They were talking about how there was, they're having trouble finding, evidence with the global warming, climate change stuff. And, I pulled up an article from August out of the Washington Post that was laughing at the Farmer's Almanac because they were talking about what a horribly cold, bitter cold, snowy winter we were going to be having. And it turns out that they were vindicated and then some because, the Farmer's Almanac was right on the money. Just a couple weeks ago, I think we had 49 of the 50 states that had snow in them, all except for Florida. They claim they haven't shown any increase in global temperature for 16 years. These climate scientists are really scrambling to come up with answers for this, trying to blame it on, I don't know, the polar vortex and the wind is pushing the, I don't know, it's making the water, I don't know, it's pushing the warmer, I don't know, warmer water. Or something. They're coming up with just bizarre theories to try to fit their models, like this whole climate thing is all settled. And it turns out that the 200-year-old Farmer's Almanac keeps plugging along and is right on the money, and that these super scientists are really it's really the fraud is starting to become. It's becoming more and more revealed, I guess, and their science is falling apart. And hopefully, we'll see this global warming scam. How far can it continue? How much longer can they keep playing these games? I don't know, but that was I thought that was pretty funny this week when the report came out that the Farmer's Almanac more accurate than government climate scientists.
Well, I kind of like that. I kind of like hearing that and thinking about it because, watching Ancient Aliens, it's just you kind of think that humans have known more than we thought they used to. That there's a lot more knowledge out there, and the stuff. The smarter I get, the more I realize how dumb I am. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense in theory, but like if you break it down,
no, it does. It's still Socrates quote. Yeah. Wisdom is knowing how little you know, but there's a lot of other smart people have said similar things.
But I'm
so
really
much knowledge out there. Yeah.
I'm really curious with HAARP and with chemtrails. Are they dumping stuff into the atmosphere to reflect different things to try to you hear about maybe on Mars that you might be able to terraform it by introducing certain things into the environment, to either get greenhouse gas effects or to reverse them. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't want any more pollution than necessary. I can start with that. I don't need to be a crazy hippie and need to turn completely Luddite or Amish and get rid of everything. But I don't want any more pollution than necessary at all. All the stuff that's in our food and our water. And there's another leak in Fukushima plant, I just heard. Fukushima had another leak, a really big leak. So I've never bought
real environmental problems. Yes, exactly. There are real environmental problems, but they are unable to show that the science is settled with climate warming or that it's man-made or any of that stuff. So it seems like the fraud is falling apart, and we'll see what they what new excuses they'll try to come up with, but they're running out of answers.
Yeah, I've never really bought into the completely man-made global warming anything. Obviously, I don't want to be peeing in my swimming pool any more than we need to. Chemical spills and radioactive materials floating around. None of that stuff's any good, I get it. But, at the same time, you don't take over a huge segment of the economy and just turn it into a massive wealth grab to manipulate and steer power and politics and, signing global treaties where you lose your own sovereignty. Like, that stuff's just insane, and I'm not putting up with that. I'm not tolerating that. I'm not going to shut up about that.
Yeah, they're saying it's our biggest problem while they ignore Fukushima, and they really can't show how they get all this carbon money. That what are they actually going to do that's going to change around the effects of this man-made global warming?
They're going to give it to Al Gore, and he's going to come up with an initiative and go on a lecture tour and eat some more food. That's what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't get it, man. No, anyway, that's all I got for today. Did the feed get any better for you? Is the show wrapped up here? Was it any better?
Yeah, it's better, much better right now. But, still a little bit of a jittery effect. I don't really know how to describe it. But, no, you're coming in fine. Okay,
perfect. Well, hey, man. We're just about out of time for today then, so just tell everybody once again what you're up to, where they can stay connected in the next 20, 30 seconds here, if you would.
Okay, yes, thank you, Brian. My name is Blake Walley, or Blake the Eccentric, and you can find my Twitter feed at Eccentric99. I do a radio show 3 days a week on freedomizerradio.com, and you can find the podcast by searching iTunes for Eccentric Perspective.
Excellent, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a really good weekend, and we'll be sure to check your show out next week. You have a lot of fun in between now and then, all right?
You as well, Brian. Always a pleasure. Thanks, man.
All right, take care. There goes Blake, the eccentric Walley, everybody. Make sure you follow him. And please, thank you for helping us surpass 200,000 video views on our youtube.com/The New American Media page. Go over there and click subscribe. Check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Do a search online on Facebook for The New American Media with space in between and like our page. And on Twitter, we're at American_media_. So my name is Brian Engelman, signing out for everybody here at the TNAM Radio Network. Agree to Disagree and the Unhappy Hour. We'll see you next week. Special thanks to Zach. Special thanks to Blake. We'll see you next time. Peace.
You are listening to The New American Media.